And we are live. Hello everyone, welcome to part 28 of Sonadow Play the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy. Joining me as per usual is my lovely girlfriend, IMShadow 007. Say hello, hon.
Hello!
Now I must apologise because I know we said at the end of the last time we played Ace Attorney that we were going to finish the trial this stream, but it is simply far too long to do in one stream.
But thankfully, the trial is only in two parts. So
Yeah,
what we're going to do is we're only going to tackle part one, and next time we're going to tackle the final part.
Yes, because the final trial, if you put both bits together, it's about 4 hours long before you add us doing voice acting to it. So yeah, the full stream if we did that would probably be about 5 hours.
So yes. So if you really want to stick around to see what happens, stay tuned for the final episode of this case. The final part of the trial, I should say.
Yeah, so for the sake of the audience and for the sake of our vocal cords, to be quite frank, we're going to split it into two parts.
Yes.
Right, turnabout for tomorrow. Trial day one, trial day one.
Trial day one, part one.
Trial, it's the only day?
Yes.
I did a little research. I looked into those special psych locks you mentioned, Mr. Nick.
You did? That's great. I really appreciate it.
A red psych lock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If the person falls under questioning, the lock breaks and the truth comes out.
Yep, that's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos.
That a black psych lock protects a secret from the deepest place in a person's heart.
So it's a repressed memory, in other words.
Yes.
A secret that a person isn't even consciously aware of.
Or trauma.
Yeah, so even they don't know it's there.
Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself.
Okay, so all I have to do is break the psych locks. Yes, Phoenix, that's what you've been doing for how many games?
According to my research, a black psych lock is like a heavy chain wrapped directly around one's heart. If they are ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul.
In other words, if I'm not careful, I could traumatize Athena for good. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such a heavy burden.
Alright, but will you be alright by yourself, Mr. Nick?
I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this trial all of my focus and strength.
And you can't do that if I'm there. I'll just hold you back.
No, that's not it. I just meant I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls.
Alright. I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick.
She hasn't changed a bit.
Nope.
Good. Now that my mind is at ease, I'd better get ready. I just realized I didn't put the music on.
Yep.
Right.
I was gonna say, like, what the hell?
I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. It's time to end this nightmare that started 7 years ago. Defense, prosecution, and judge. There are even people in the gallery. The roof has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this ruin is my battleground. I still question how this is legal, but okay.
And our first witness, the robot.
Court, or some facsimile thereof, is now in session for trial of Athena Sykes.
Hold it! Not a facsimile, old man. Yeah, not a facsimile, old man. This is the proper official trial. Take this more seriously, or you'll start hearing the bones of the hostage snap.
Please try not to upset Miss Blackwell. I'm begging you. Court is now in session for the very serious and very proper trial of Athena Sykes. This is no trial. It's nothing more than a ridiculous farce.
What did you just say?
Edgeworth, did you not hear what I just said to His Honor? However, this ridiculous farce has a very important meaning for our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident, in which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. That case ushered in the odious dark age of the law.
I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind the case today.
Precisely. The darkness will be dispelled and glory shall be restored to the court system. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you sound as if you know something of this truth. I do indeed. A new suspect has emerged in the UR1 case. For 7 years, Simon Blackwell has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else. Brace yourself, Phoenix. Here it comes. I'm sorry, Wright, but the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. The prosecution moves to indict Athena Sykes on the count of murder in the first degree.
Regardless the circumstance, I intend to question the defendant with all I have. For that is a part of my creed.
Then you'd better bring it.
If the two of you are ready. Court is now in session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Your Honor, the defense was born ready.
The prosecution is also ready.
Hard, everybody. Pay attention.
Yeah, I'm not giving Edgeworth that sort of font British accent. I'm just going to give him a well-spoken American accent.
Yep.
Listen,
Everyone listen. It's like everyone listen and pay attention.
can I just say something before we start, Your Honor? What is it, Mr. Wright? It's freezing! Oh, suck it up. I mean, it's December! It's December and they're standing in an open courtroom!
Right?
It's freezing, Your Honor!
Well, you're not taking my robe, Mr. Wright. I'm comfy in my robe.
Oh,
Your Honor, that's just a blanket. It's still a robe!
I forget who voices the judge, Jarl. I'd have to look that up. But anyway, freezing jokes aside, there's immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. I'll just kiss him already. It's my duty to clear Prosecutor Blackwell of false accusations and end this insanity. But I have no intention of losing Miss Sykes either. She's a very promising young lawyer. Bailiff, fetch the parkas! Yes, please. I know without a doubt that Athena is innocent. But I don't think Prosecutor Blackwell did it either. So, do you have any clues on who was responsible for the sabotage?
At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackwell. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy.
The true culprit is a spy. It's going to be hard to convince anyone of that when I barely believe it myself. But I don't have a choice if I want to save Athena and Blackwell and expose the spy.
Now then, Chief Prosecutor Edgeworth.
No need for the Chief Prosecutor bit, Your Honor. I am here as a simple prosecutor.
Very well. Your opening statement, please, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Although I've been known of late to give an impressive opening statement myself.
In all of the trials I've ever seen, only the prosecution gives an opening statement.
Of course! You're right. I was just joking. Just having a little fun.
Oh, if only you knew, Miles.
Yep.
So I wasn't doing them just out of fear. Interesting. Let's start with a brief overview of the UR1 incident. The incident occurred at the Cosmos Space Center 7 years ago, on October 7th. The victim, psychologist Meta Sykes, was killed in the robotics lab on the 4th floor. Athena's mother. Simon Blackwell, a young prosecutor at the time, was found guilty of the crime. There were two deciding factors that led to his guilty verdict. One, Blackwell was the only person in the corridor in the lab at the time of the murder. And two, this photo, which captures the moment of the crime.
Very incriminating evidence indeed. It would appear that the only conclusion is that Prosecutor Blackwell did indeed.
Are you kidding me? I am not accepting any conclusion of the kind. This opening statement is over. Now, hurry up and call the witness.
Sheesh, like brother, like sister. Excuse me, Miss Blackwell, but we must follow proper procedure for these things, you know.
Or perhaps we should heed her wishes, Your Honor. She is the trial's sponsor, after all. Besides, the courtroom is chilly. I just said that! And sitting for too long can't be good for your back.
Oh, you are very kind to show such concern for the welfare of the elderly.
As skilled as ever at playing the court puppeteer, I see. The prosecution calls its first witness. A witness who decided to bring forth new testimony after 7 long years. New testimony? And just who is this witness anyway? Of course.
Yep.
Bobby Fulbright's the name. In justice we trust.
What are you doing here?
I'm just here to speak for the hostage taker, Miss Aura Blackwell. She says she's too busy with confining and threatening the hostages and all.
That doesn't seem to stop her from constantly chiming in through Clonko.
Shut up!
I'm nothing more than an observer in this. Do your best. I'm watching you.
Believing her brother innocent, Miss Blackwell has been conducting her own investigation. And though her current actions are hardly lawful, I think we can at least hear her theory.
I have here Miss Blackwell's notes on the investigation she conducted. And I'll be giving testimony based on these notes. Here I go!
What is this, a Sonic game?
You're right. First testimony, everyone.
Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone. Someone else was at the scene at the time. They say Simon committed the murder. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case? Because he was using it to hide someone inside, that's why. And the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Sykes! And that's Miss Blackwell's theory. It totally goes in the face of the official ruling, huh? About the case she mentions, there were other rolling cases like that one in the lab. But they're not for traveling, they're apparently for moving parts and equipment. Well, yes, cases have multiple uses. I vaguely remember seeing 3 cases, all different sizes. At the last trial, they thought that Prosecutor Blackwell used the case to steal the rock. And they had a perfectly good reason to think that too! You see, there's a security camera in the corridor that leads to the robotics lab. And that camera captured footage of Blackwell leaving the scene with the case! I can see why that footage helped bring his trial to a quick end. It's very convincing, that's for sure. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take that.
That case, by the way, was later discovered outside the Space Center grounds. Speaking of after the incident, where was the defendant Athena Sykes found? She was found on the 5th floor of the Space Center, in the Sykes family residence. Prosecutor Blackwell most likely brought her there after the incident. In addition, it's unknown where Miss Sykes was at the estimated time of death. Miss Sykes was too confused by the shock of her mother's death to give proper testimony. And there was no witness or evidence to tell us where she might have been. So what you're saying is Miss Sykes didn't have an alibi? That is what the evidence is saying, yes.
I understand the reasoning behind the theory, but I'm far from convinced. The victim is the accused's mother. Are you actually claiming an 11-year-old girl?
Of course the girl has a very strong motive. Dr. Sykes was a psychologist who wrote many papers about speech and emotions. You're aware of Athena Sykes' special ability, aren't you, Your Honor?
Are you referring to that therapy thing? Yes, she's done it quite a few times in court.
The ability to read emotions from speech and the subject of her mother's research.
Well, as long as it benefits society, I don't see any particular problem researching it.
I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit. Dr. Sykes was so intent on her research, she forced her daughter to undergo experiments.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you seriously suggesting?
I've done my best to be delicate, but even you can't deny it to be true, Mr. Wright. No longer able to withstand the anguish of the experiments, Miss Sykes felt the only choice was to kill her own mother.
Yeah. Order! Order in the court! What a tragic story. I hardly want to believe it myself. But we must proceed. Mr. Wright, if you could, Detective Fulbright, please refer to the notes.
Press on the fifth statement.
Hold it!
But that's nothing more than conjecture, and it's hardly the only possibility.
In that case, what do you think Prosecutor Blackwell had in that case?
I think it was the moon rock.
Objection!
There were 3 cases at the scene, but Prosecutor Blackwell used the largest one. The moon rock was egg-shaped and only about 8 inches in diameter. It wouldn't have made any sense to use the largest case just to move that rock.
Objection!
Be that as it may, it doesn't prove Miss Sykes was inside. Then let me ask you this. Can you come up with a better theory of what was in the case?
Well, Mr. Wright, can you?
Yikes. Give a guy some time to think. Let's see. Should I try to bluff my way through what would have been in that case?
Bluff.
He is the king of it. I know exactly what Prosecutor Blackwell carried from the scene. You just have to find something else that was missing, right? No sweat.
I'd be very interested in hearing your theory, if it's true, that is.
This is the crime scene photo taken after Prosecutor Blackwell left, correct? All we have to do is compare this with this photo of Prosecutor Blackwell to see what's missing. If he took something with him, then it should be in one of these photos. Lady Luck, don't fail me now.
All right then, Mr. Wright. Let us hear your theory. What did Prosecutor Blackwell take from the scene of the murder?
The robot part in the table.
This?
Yeah, the robot.
Take that!
Please notice that there's a robot part on the top of the cart in this photo. However, in this photo taken after the crime, the robot part is gone. In other words, this part is something that was taken from the scene of the crime.
You do appear to be right. I don't see it in the second picture.
But it's just a piece of junk. How important could it be? Is it really just an insignificant robot part? Speaking of which...
What are you looking at? I'm gonna start charging for each glance per eyeball.
Stingy, stingy. What happened to the age of free previews? Or stingy, rather?
Yeah, stingy.
Your Honor, about this robot part. Doesn't it look like it could be an arm from that robot there?
Well, now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? But the case is still too big to be practical for just the moon rock and a robot arm.
Or was it really just one arm that was in there? If it wasn't Athena in the case, then maybe. I believe there was another robot at the scene that looks just like the one here. Your Honor, it is the defense's assertion that it was the other robot that was in the case.
What? You can lower your hand.
Objection!
We can't be certain that part belonged to a robot. Yes, it looks like the arm of the one before us, but it could be something else entirely. Besides, it's wrapped entirely in bandaging, making it difficult to verify what it is.
Objection!
I know for a fact that it's a robot arm. I can even tell which robot it belonged to, just by looking at it. With this information, we can investigate whether it was there at the time or not.
But Mr. Wright, I thought you were more of the technologically illiterate type. When did you become such an expert? I feel somehow abandoned.
Not to worry, Your Honor. I still know next to nothing about machines. But I know this piece of evidence proves which robot that arm belonged to.
The Hat 1 exhibit.
Take that!
The robot in this picture is named Ponko. But take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that.
She must have thought that machines heal in the same way people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild.
The robot arm at the crime scene had the same bandaging wrapped around it. In other words, the robot arm could belong to none other than Ponko.
Order in the court! Order, I say! Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you have to say to this?
I concede that the robot is about the same size of a child, but it cannot grab its knees and curl itself up in a ball. Even if it was the largest of the cases, the robot couldn't have possibly fit in there.
The case does come up to about mid-thigh on Prosecutor Blackwell. I see your point. The robot is much taller than that.
They got me there. So then did Prosecutor Blackwell make Ponko fit in that case by...
Dismantling her.
Of course Ponko would fit. All Prosecutor Blackwell had to do was dismantle it. Once taken apart, the robot could have easily fit inside that rolling case. It appears to be a robot assembly device.
Disassemble anything in a flash! Push the dismantle button. That sounds pretty neat. Can I push it, Mr. Nick?
It sounds rather violent, but Mr. Wright does have a point there.
Objection!
Except that there was a body on the table where robots are dismantled and assembled. Seriously, what is with that objection? Sounds like he's trying to cough up something.
Objection!
There would have been no room to take the robot apart.
Objection!
You forget that Simon Blackwell has a sword?
But what if it wasn't done on the table? What if the katana was used instead?
You mean the sword?
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Blackwell, I'd like your opinion as a woman of science. Isn't it true that the katana could have been used to take the robot apart?
I suppose so. The joints aren't made of a very tough material. A blade could slice through them.
Thank you for your expert opinion, Miss Blackwell. Thanks to you, now we know that the existence of the severed arm in this photo proves that Ponko was taken apart. In addition, since the rest of Ponko was not found at the scene, we can conclude that the true meaning of this photo is very different from the original interpretation.
You can't mean...
That's exactly what I mean. This photo does not capture the moment of the murder. It is instead a picture of the moment after the robot was sliced apart. The blood you see where the arm was cut off was transferred there by the bloody katana. Most likely, the rest of Ponko was scattered around Prosecutor Blackwell's feet.
Not hearing this.
Therefore, what was transported inside that case was not the defendant, but a robot. Miss Sykes was never at the scene at the time of the murder. Somebody catch that!
My head! My body! Where am I?
Okay, phew.
Order!
You okay,
Order in the court!
You okay, Miss Blackwell? You seem to have lost your head.
Miss Blackwell, we already have danger of falling rocks. We don't need to add robot heads to it.
It's true that Ponko was found pieces after the murder. And I'll admit I repaired myself afterwards. Thank you.
Yes, I'm finally making some progress. Hopefully I've gotten at least one step closer. proving both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell innocent.
Objection!
Well played, Mr. Wright. You've made your point abundantly clear. I concede that if it wasn't the defendant inside the rolling case, but the robot... Alright, what's going on here? It's never good when you place things this straight.
Does the prosecution withdraw its claim that the defendant was carried from the scene?
No, Your Honor. My claim hasn't changed.
Objection!
But Ponko and Miss Sykes couldn't have both been inside that case.
Objection!
The notion that the case was used to carry Miss Sykes was Miss Blackwell's theory. I have been of a different opinion from the outset. Now I finally have the opportunity to voice my theory. Thanks to the defense. Edgeworth. He's been one step ahead of me this whole time.
In that case, how do you propose the defendant left the crime scene?
Simple. The footage only shows Prosecutor Blackwell from behind. What's more, he's holding his arm in front of his body, as if he were holding something. Or someone. That's hardly evidence. I have proof. The surcoat Prosecutor Blackwell was wearing. The victim's blood was found on the front of it, and the stain has a highly distinctive shape.
A blood stain with a distinctive shape? Please continue, Prosecutor Edgeworth.
7 years ago, the defendant was known to constantly wear a certain item, of which there is only one in the world. A special pair of headphones made just for her.
She always wore those big, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research.
Analysis showed the bloodstain to be in the exact same shape as these headphones. In other words, this was no mere blood splatter. The blood went from the victim's body to the headphones, and then was imprinted onto Prosecutor Blackwell's coat like a stamp.
A most gruesome stamp indeed.
Blackwell carried Miss Sykes, who had been hit by splatter, away from the crime scene. This proves that Athena Sykes was without question present at the crime scene. And that concludes the prosecution's argument.
Yeah. Order! If the defendant was indeed at the scene, it deepens the suspicion against her.
Objection!
But we've also shown that the robot was there at the scene as well.
Objection!
I hope you're not making the ridiculous claim that a simple robot was the real murderer. I don't really think that, no, but... You can't say the possibility isn't there. Detective Fulbright, was the robot questioned at the time? No, I don't see any record of it. I believe it was considered unrelated to the case. But as it turned out, the robot was actually integrally related. Integrally related. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Ponko to the stand.
A robot witness?
I mean, it's not the weirdest thing that's been called to this damn witness stand.
Yeah, right? We can cross-examine parrots!
Exactly.
Order! Order in the court! Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you think about this?
Mr. Wright has called an all manner of witnesses to the stand over the years. So why not a robot? Nothing surprises me anymore with him.
I'll take that as a compliment. Very well. I will allow the witness. Bailiff, please summon the robot named Ponko.
Ponko, Ponko, little robot in the lab.
Witness, please state your name and occupation.
Witness, my name is Ponko!
Yes, I realize that. But when you're in the witness stand, you are the witness.
No, I am not! I am Ponko! Say it with me! Ponko!
What an utterly inflexible little robot.
You're the last person who should be calling anybody inflexible.
Damn.
You remind me of my grandchild who just learned his own name. Oh, how precious.
All right, Ponko. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Questions? You have questions? What are your questions?
I want to know if you were at the scene of the murder of Metis Sykes. It was 7 years ago on the 7th of October around 2 p.m. in the robotics lab.
Certainly. Just one moment. Searching data. Search complete. Yes, I was there in the robotics lab.
This game predicted AI that you ask questions to.
Yep.
Remember, this game came out in 2013.
Yeah.
It would seem this robot's testimony is necessary to this case after all. This is great. I just knew Ponko must have seen something important. A murder committed right before this poor little girl's eyes. It's inexcusable. The judge seems ready to adopt Ponko as another grandchild.
So, little Ponko, you think you can give us your testimony today?
Yes, Ponko's cute, Judge, but for God's sake.
I went to the robotics lab about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Metis. And then Mommy Metis fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything. After I charged up, I was cleaning the room, and Mr. Simon came in. And then an error occurred. There is no data after that point.
Well, it sounds like the defendant was, without question, at the scene. However, it doesn't appear that the witness saw the actual moment of the murder.
I disagree. This testimony shows that the defendant did indeed commit the crime. What? At the end of the day, we mustn't forget that the witness is still a machine. Being a robot, its understanding and capacity to express itself are limited.
So, what are you suggesting?
The witness's statement needs to be interpreted. For example, the term hugged and then later fell down. Adults don't usually fall down after being hugged by a child.
They don't, but...
Yes. What this witness's statements are telling us is that the defendant stabbed the victim with the murder weapon during this moment. What? Before Miss Sykes hugged Dr. Sykes, did the two of them converse?
Yes, they did. They spoke to each other very loudly, but I don't know what they said. Athena is usually so quiet, so I was surprised.
Spoke very loudly. We can interpret this as to mean they argued.
I see.
Murder after a heated argument, and then the victim fell down. I agree that it does sound like a reasonable interpretation.
However, Ponko doesn't seem to remember anything that happened after that.
When I am recharging, I go into sleep mode. But I remember everything before that. I have a very good memory.
You may as well admit defeat now, right? A cross-examination would be useless. Don't be ridiculous! A cross-examination is never useless! Until now. Think about it. Robots don't lie. This robot is both an important witness and valuable evidence at the same time. Robots don't lie. Obviously, you've never seen Terminator, Edgeworth.
No.
Nevertheless, I will have my cross-examination. I see you haven't changed. You never were one to worry about wasting time.
Very well.
Even if it may be a waste of time,
You may proceed, Mr. Wright.
I'll show you both just how fruitful any cross-examination can be.
Pressing the third statement.
Hold it!
I don't want to delve too deeply here, but... Could you tell us how the victim appeared and acted at this moment?
Mommy Menace was very surprised when she was hugged. I heard her heart pound.
Her heart? Mr. Wright, have you forgotten about this document we found in the robotics lab? These robots have a heartbeat detection system. Now that he mentions it, I do remember reading something like that there. They detect the presence of people by the sound of their heartbeats. But wait a minute. That means... if Dr. Sykes really did die at this moment... Ponko, how was Dr. Sykes after she fell down? Could you still hear the sound of her heartbeat?
Let's see. The moment she fell, her heart was pounding. After that, I don't know. I started recharging just then.
Of all the unlucky timing, if you'd heard anything after that, it could have possibly proved the hug wasn't actually the moment of the murder.
I'm very sorry. I'm afraid I don't know. I'm very sorry.
The robot is designed to go into sleep mode automatically, so it can't be helped. But it does appear it detected an increased heart rate at the moment of the stabbing. Ugh.
After Mommy Metis' heart started pounding in surprise, she fell down by the window. It was the round window, on the workbench side of the room.
The workbench, huh? Ponko must be talking about that table to the right where that giant robot is now. Is there something critical in Ponko's statement just now?
Yep.
Your Honor, I believe this statement is critical. I'd like it added to her testimony.
Very well. Ponko, could you please add that statement to your testimony? That's a good little girl.
It's a robot, Judge.
Mommy Metis fell down near the round window on the workbench side of the room.
Present the 7-year-old photos.
Objection!
Ponko, your statement may have just inspired a breakthrough.
I was helpful? Hooray! I'm so happy!
Just to be sure, let's go over it again, okay? The victim fell near the window on the workbench side of the room. However, her body was discovered on the operating table.
But the operating table and the workbench are two different locations.
Exactly, Your Honor. We've just learned a new crucial fact. What could explain the two very different locations of her body? I'll tell you what.
The victim moved.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
An 11-year-old girl couldn't have moved the heavy body of an adult. So the only explanation is that the victim walked to the operating table herself. In other words, what Ponko observed near the workbench couldn't possibly have been the moment of the murder.
Phew, I am very relieved to hear that. Glad to know that the murder wasn't committed in front of little Ponko here.
Yes, as we just heard in the testimony, Miss Sykes hugged her mother. Nothing more.
Objection!
Right. It's been 8 years and you're still just as green as ever.
Green? But I can't recall ever seeing Mr. Ryan in anything but a blue suit.
That's not what it means, Judge. Hey, blue's my favorite color. What can I say? It's mine too.
Mine too. I'm blue. If I were green, I would die.
If the people in the public gallery are finished singing, if the defendant couldn't move the body herself, she could have had it moved for her. Moved for her? But Miss Sykes and Dr. Sykes were the only ones there. I agree. Since the robot is equipped with a heartbeat detection system, it would have been aware of another person's presence if someone else had been there. We can therefore conclude that the defendant and the victim were the only ones present.
Then who do you suggest moved the body?
Don't you know it's in the nature of a robot to help people do things? Miss Ponko, allow me to ask you a question.
My name is Ponko! Say it with me! Ponko!
I believe you said you were cleaning after Dr. Sykes fell down. Did you happen to move something large onto the operating table?
Yes, I did. Athena asked me to.
Athena asked you to? Athena asked you to?
And what did you move, little Ponko?
I don't know. Unless something has an ID tag, I can't tell what it is.
An ID tag, you say?
Yes, a tag with a barcode on it. We robots scan them to tell us what the thing is.
That paper in the lab did mention something about that. Recognizes people by scanning their spacesuit or uniform jacket ID tag, it said. So it would appear that Miss Panko here can't identify what it moved.
My name is Panko!
I swear Edgeworth is just doing this deliberately now.
Yep.
But we humans have the power to imagine what it was, do we not? We do? Well, I do at the very least. Miss Panko, on the defendant's command, moved the body on the operating table. Ah! Panko, did you really move Dr. Sykes' body? This is really important. Isn't there any way you could tell?
You don't know. Without an ID tag, I can't tell.
Give it up, right? If the victim's heart was stopped, the robot's detection system would be useless. Furthermore, Dr. Sykes usually wore her white coat while she was working. She kept the jacket with her ID tag on it draped over a chair in the robotics lab, and only wore it for special occasions. In other words, the victim wasn't wearing her ID tag at the time. From the robot's point of view, her body was simply just another object.
Objection!
But Panko is equipped with a facial recognition system. If she really did move the victim, she would have recognized the body as Dr. Sykes. But she didn't, so that means...
Objection!
A face can easily be covered with a piece of cloth, a mask, or anything else for that matter. With her facial features hidden, the robot wouldn't have been able to tell it was Dr. Sykes. Ugh. He's right. To summarize, Miss Sykes stabbed her mother near the workbench. Then, using the robot, she moved the body to the table, where she removed the sword and was stained in blood.
Order! But if that's the case, then I have a question. Why did the defendant move the body to the operating table in the first place?
You want a reason? Very well. What? You can't possibly have an explanation! Your emotions blind you to the truth. You could learn a lot from our robot friends. Calm and rational thought will open your eyes to the truth in front of you, Mr. Wright. Now then, do you remember the operating table's one special feature?
I believe I read that the robots can be assembled and disassembled there. Isn't that right?
That's right. And to the defendant, who was just a child at the time, the table was like a magic box that could make robots appear and disappear in seconds.
But in the end, my mom just put her on the operating table and fixed her in a flash. I was so impressed by what my mom did. I even asked her if she would put me on the table and fix me if I ever got hurt. It looked just like a magic to me, what she could do.
You can't possibly be suggesting... This young, sheltered girl had a difficult time distinguishing robots from people. But take a look at Panko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that.
She must have thought the machines heal in the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild.
No way. I refuse to believe it. Miss Sykes made a childish, naive, and cruel mistake. She thought that if a robot could be dismantled and vanish without a trace...
Prosecutor Edgeworth, if you're about to claim what I think you are, I demand that you word it as delicately as you can.
With all due respect, Your Honor, all I can do is present the truth as it stands. The reason the defendant moved the victim's body to the operating table...
Hold it!
No! Don't say another word! Just stop! Was to dismantle the evidence so that she could get away with her crime. That can't be.
True.
Order! Order in the court! Order in the court, I say!
Edgeworth, she was just a little kid. How can you say such a horrible thing? Horrible? Like I said, you're just as green as ever. I came here today as a prosecutor to seek only the truth. No more, no less. My theory is simply the result of a rational consideration of every possibility.
Objection!
But dismantling isn't the table's only function. It can make repairs as well. It's conceivable that Miss Sykes moved her mother to the table in order to fix her. I suppose that could be another way of interpreting it. But dismantle or repair, it doesn't matter either way. What do you mean? After murdering her mother, Miss Sykes may have come to her senses. Perhaps she did want to make it appear as if it had never happened. And that's why she tried to repair her mother. Yes, that's one possible explanation. But we mustn't forget the facts of the case. The victim was observed to fall down after being hugged by the defendant, and the body was moved per the defendant's command. These two facts that indicate the defendant's guilt remain unchanged. This just can't be true.
Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence to refute the prosecution's claim?
Evidence? Right. Let's see. I can't think of any. I'm afraid I don't have any evidence. Since becoming chief prosecutor, I've learned that the truth isn't always pretty. Now accept the truth, Mr. Wright. Your subordinate murdered her own mother. Your Honor, the prosecution demands a verdict. The hostages have suffered enough.
What a terrible and tragic conclusion. If the defense has no counter-argument, I see no need to further prolong this trial.
Edgeworth's argument seems solid enough. But there's no way Athena could have ever done anything like that. What do I do? There has to be something. But I can't think of a single thing.
Hi, Simon.
Prosecutor Blackquill!
This is quite the farce you're conducting here. I could die from laughter. Prosecutor Blackquill, what are you talking about? What I'm talking about is that your argument is based on an entirely false premise. Go on, we're listening. Could this be the miracle I need? What is Prosecutor Blackquill trying to pull here? 7 years. For 7 long years. This case has been on my mind. Not for an instant did I not think of it. I'm the one who killed my mentor. And don't think you can alter that fact now. Your baldness, I will take to the stand, and I won't take no for an answer.
Of course, Prosecutor Blackquill. Please, go ahead.
I went to the Cosmos Space Center with the intention of killing Dr. Sykes. But when I got to the robotics lab, I found Athena there instead. I would not be swayed from my purpose, so I waited for Dr. Sykes to return. And then I committed the act. Oh, how cathartic it was.
But little Ponko here witnessed the victim falling. In other words...
Objection!
I don't need any of your other words, old man. I can guess what happened.
Which would be?
She fell means she fell. Merely that. A mother and child fooling around. Perhaps she tripped. Not that it matters. When I entered the lab, there was no trace of Dr. Sykes to be seen. There was no dead body either, of course, meaning she must have left the room. So the murder committed after the time period Ponko described in her testimony? You should hardly take stock in the words of a wind-up toy.
Objection!
Then how do you explain the fact that the defendant had the robot move something? Athena was always tinkering with robots on the operating table to amuse herself. and she always had Ponko move the heavy ones for her. That day was no different. Ponko moved a heavy robot for Athena. This is awful. What's he saying? What he's saying seems to make sense, and yet...
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackquill, are you trying even now to turn away from the truth? Do you realize we could bring the Dark Age of the Law to a close today?
Objection!
You expect too much from me. I'm just a murderer beyond redemption. Why don't you just let me go so I can settle down into hell? Ugh. Prosecutor Blackquill's execution is tomorrow. If the truth doesn't come out now, it's all over. Are you saying that the little girl and the robot had nothing to do with the murder? That's right. So let's hear your verdict. If we don't hurry, I might miss the ferry across the Styx.
Hold it! Don't you dare, Judge! Don't forget I have hostages over here. And Simon, how long are you going to cover for her?
Miss Blackquill! Forgive me, Aura. I never wanted you to do anything like this for me. But you agreed to this trial. If you have a counter-argument, then present your evidence. That's the rule of the courtroom. Isn't that right, Chief Prosecutor? Blackquill. You selfish... Well, to be frank, I don't like this, but it's my duty to make a decision. If no one has a counter-argument, I will announce my verdict. Is this really happening? Is it really going to end just like it did 7 years ago?
I want to do it so bad. Even now, I want to fly out here and go save him.
No, I can't tell her. But how can I lie to Athena? If I can't prove Prosecutor Blackwell's innocence in this trial, I don't think Athena will ever forgive me. I can't let this happen. We just don't have the evidence to counter Prosecutor Blackwell's testimony.
Hold it!
Athena, what are you... Are you feeling okay?
I can hear it. I can hear the voice of his heart. He's hiding something.
If he really is, I could sure use Athena's help here. Her power might just be the thing to get us through this, and also to give my vocal cords a break.
Objection!
Sykes, Dodo. No need for you to chime in here. Just accept that you're innocent.
Objection! Objection! These past 7 years, they've been just as hard on me, you know.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember that horrible, horrible trial? Please, you have to listen to me! He didn't kill her! His heart is screaming that he didn't kill her! Even now, every time I stand in the courtroom, it comes back to haunt me. Not being heard, no matter how hard you try. Feeling so helpless. Caught in people's stares. So scared that it feels like your chest is in a vise. I'm terrified of courtrooms. I want to run out of that door even now.
And yet you found a way to keep your fears at bay and become a lawyer.
Thanks. That's because one day, I came to realize that I had to fight. I couldn't give up. I exercised hard and I studied hard. I wanted to become the strongest lawyer I could be. This day has finally come. The day I've been looking forward to with all my heart. This is why I became a lawyer. This is why I studied psychology. It was all to save you from this false conviction.
But, Miss Sykes, do you realize what it would mean? You're the accused, after all. If you prove Prosecutor Blackwell innocent, then...
The only thing that matters is the truth. It's my duty to find out what the truth is. Simon, please give me this chance. The chance to shake off this fear that's been with me for 7 years and face the truth.
Athena's being so brave, confronting her past like this. This might really be the last chance to save them both. Prosecutor Blackwell, please testify one more time about the incident 7 years ago.
Fine. But your efforts will surely be in vain. For I am not a man who can be cut down easily.
Here we go, Simon. Let me hear the voice of your heart.
I went to the Cosmos... Oh wait, already did this.
Next. You are happy. Pinpoint happiness.
Got it!
This feeling of happiness. Even though the person you were looking for wasn't there, you felt happy. Why is that? Simple. When I was looking for Athena and hadn't found her yet, I grew worried. So when I saw her in the robotics lab, I was happily relieved. Merely that.
Okay.
Just now, you said that you went to the Space Center to kill Dr. Sykes. But the first thing you did was look for her daughter instead? I had no intention of harming Athena, so I wanted to confirm that she was safe first. It was just a part of my plan. Nothing contradictory about it. Ugh. The second I find an inconsistency, he cuts it down. Well, yeah, that's his job.
Simon knows the principles of analytical psychology. There's less noise now, but I don't see any instabilities we can latch onto.
I was afraid of that. We'll just have to keep chipping away at him then, bit by bit. Could you update his testimony, Athena?
You got it, boss. Nope. Next. Next. That's new. Just pinpoint the sadness.
And when she did, I plunged the katana in.
Got it!
Not even you can falsify your emotions, Prosecutor Blackwell. What? When you said that you killed Dr. Sykes in your testimony, you felt sadness. Why would someone who had lain in wait to kill her be sad at her death?
Such an obvious attack. Yes, I felt sadness, but it wasn't for her. I felt sorrow for Athena and her circumstances.
Ugh. He can't be talking about that, can he?
I was just a convenient subject for her research.
Dr. Sykes was so intent on her research, she forced her daughter to undergo experiments.
My objective was to save Athena from an obsessive scientist who treated her own daughter like a research subject.
What?
I went to the psychology lab first. That's where I usually find Athena playing. But that day was different. I heard someone crying in the robotics lab next door. Was Athena being subjected to yet another experiment? I thought as I went to see. Conveniently, Athena had cried herself to sleep, so all I had to do was wait and kill.
So that's why he was relieved when he saw Athena. But is this story really true? I'm not sure how much to believe.
Mr. Wright?
How are you doing, Athena? Still hanging in there?
I'm a lot stronger than I look, boss. Now, take a look at this. The noise level actually increased. No!
It went up? I've never seen it do that before.
Prosecutor Blackwell is lying somewhere in his testimony. As a matter of fact, he's piling lie on top of a lie in an attempt to make his claims sound more believable. He's trying even harder to suppress his true feelings, and that's what's causing the noise.
How in the world should I approach this? An evidence-based approach might work if I can find a contradiction. Otherwise, I should look for an inconsistency in his emotions. There are no flaws in my testimony, and his boldness is prepared to give his verdict. Give up on this lost cause and let the law free me of these chains already.
Objection!
I don't think so. Not while I'm around. Now, contradictory testimony or inconsistent emotions. What should I tackle first?
His emotions.
Okay, let's look for inconsistent emotions.
Got it, boss. But if you want to try looking for a contradictory statement instead, just let me know. I can easily switch over. These are new.
I heard crying from next door. Of course I was worried. I hurried over and opened the door to the robotics lab. But before I could lead Athena out of there, curse my luck, Dr. Sykes came in. I refused to hand Athena over, so I had no choice but to kill my mentor.
He was surprised in the second statement. Pinpoint his surprise. Why was he surprised to see Athena?
Got it!
How odd. Why would you register surprise at opening the door to the lab? Alright, fine. I'll explain if I must. What surprised me was, Ponko, that toy figure, attacked me. Dr. Sykes knew full well of my plan to rescue Athena, but she couldn't stand guard over her daughter 24 hours a day. So Dr. Sykes had Ponko do it? That's right. She ordered Ponko to forcibly remove me on sight. So I slashed Ponko up with the katana that was there in the lab. That rickety old puppet wasn't worthy of that fine blade.
Mr. Wright! It's happening again! There's even more noise now!
And we're
Oh,
back to
come
100%.
Come on!
It's at 100% now. What's going on here?
Whenever we find an opening, he covers it up with lies. We'll never get rid of the noise at this rate.
It's pretty hard to keep telling coherent lies like that. His mind and will really are sharp and strong as a katana. Alright, what should I do to tackle first this time?
His testimony.
Yeah, he's a professional liar like y'all said in the chat, so, you know, he's good at it.
Yeah.
I think there might be an inconsistency in Prosecutor Blackwell's testimony.
Alright, let's give it a thorough check then. Alright, present the photo of the crime on the second statement.
Ponko attacked me. I retaliated by cutting it into pieces.
Yeah, present the photo of the crime.
Objection!
Compounding lies with more lies is never the answer, Prosecutor Blackwell. Take a look at this photo. That's the photo of the supposed moment of the murder, isn't it? How many more times must I see that witch damn me for my sin? See that witch damn me for my sin. The ironic thing is, I think this picture is actually going to be your savior now. See the bloodstain at the end of Ponko's arm, where it was severed with the katana? I hope you aren't claiming it's the robot's blood, Mr. Wright. No, most likely the blood was transferred there from the bloody katana. The katana already had blood on it, so then it must have been the victim's blood. That's right, but if that's the case, we found a glaring inconsistency. You said in your testimony that you cut up Ponko and then you killed Dr. Sykes. But in spite of that, the victim's blood is already on Ponko's arm in this picture.
What? That couldn't be!
Exactly. In order for the blood to have transferred from the sword to Ponko's arm, the victim must have been stabbed first before the robot was slashed. In other words, Prosecutor Blackquill, your entire testimony is nothing but one giant ball of lies. Tell the court the truth, Prosecutor Blackquill, now.
You have no idea what you're doing.
His voice. There's so much discord. I'm hearing not just one or two, but a bunch of rampaging emotions here. It's hard to describe. It's like a violent whirlwind of whirlpool or something.
Phoenix Wright, you will pay for this. Never have I been forced to reveal so much, but the rest I'll take to my grave.
Prosecutor Blackquill, you're on the witness stand. You are obligated to tell the truth. Isn't that the rule of the courtroom?
All these complex emotions, they seem to be flowing from one source. I think whatever he really saw that day is what's causing these feelings. These are new! Oh no!
Following the sound of crying, I opened the lab door, and then I saw it, that terrible scene. But before I could lead Athena out of there, curse my luck, Dr. Sykes came in. I had no choice but to kill my mentor.
Go back to the second statement and probe Athena. What terrible scene? Probe Athena.
Got it!
When you opened the door and saw Athena, you became overwhelmed by your emotions. Isn't that right, Prosecutor?
You should know better.
And though it's pathetic, I admit I'm terrified to speak of it. Prosecutor Blackquill, Miss Sykes is innocent. I will always believe that with all my heart. Now, can't you find it within yourself to believe in me, too?
Athena is innocent, huh? Can you honestly say you believe that to be true? Right, Dono?
I give you my word. Now tell me what you really saw when you opened that door. I just realized Edgeworth has probably just been standing there like, guys, I'm here.
Yeah.
Curse you, Phoenix Wright!
It was a tragedy. One I'll never forget. When I arrived at the lab, Dr. Sykes was already dead. She was lying on the operating table, while the bloody katana lay on the floor. And standing between the two, covered in blood, was Athena. She smiled, with a far-off look in her eyes, as she sweetly said,
Something's wrong with Mom. So I'm taking her apart to fix her.
"That's what I saw. And now you have it. The truth that you so desperately wanted." No. Prosecutor Blackquill finally tells the truth. And this is what it is. It's beyond devastating.
I tried to take my mother apart. I So it was me. I'm the one who killed my mother.
Athena! As I said, right, the truth isn't always pretty. Murder, disassembly on an operating table, a scientist using her daughter as a guinea pig. Sadly, it appears that my theory was correct after all.
Objection!
It's true that Athena didn't like her mother's research, but you dare cast aspersions on my mentor by claiming Athena was used in such a manner? Dr. Sykes could be awkward with people. But she loved her daughter with all her heart.
She loved me?
Your mother hated to see you suffer because you could hear the voices of people's hearts. She wanted to set you free of your pain, so she worked tirelessly on her research. Do you remember those headphones you hated so much?
Yes. My head hurt every time I wore them.
No, Athena. It's just the opposite. They emitted sound waves to nullify emotional input from the voices of people around you. Your power was much stronger than it is now. And those headphones were what enabled you to carry on with everyday life.
No! That can't be true! Then why? Why would I have done something like that to somebody who loved me so much?
Her love for you was real. That I can guarantee. That's why I knew. That what happened had to be some kind of mistake. I couldn't let you be punished for it. So you took the blame yourself. You and your mentor are more alike than you know. Ponko was a witness, so I put it in that case, held Athena close, and vacated the lab. I threw Ponko away in the boarding lounge trash chute, and I hid the case of the Space Center grounds. It would seem that we now have all the facts of this case.
Hold it!
No, not yet! It can't end like this!
Objection!
Do not disgrace yourself, Mr. Wright. The truth has been revealed. Or are you the type of man to turn your back on the things that disagree with you? I'm not, but this... I can't give up now. I have to say something, anything, even if it's a bluff. I've always managed to pull through that way in the past. I have to make it work. The defense is prepared to present evidence.
Mr. Wright,
Yes, Athena?
it's okay. You can stop now. I don't want you or anyone else to suffer any longer for my sake.
Athena, what are you saying?
I killed my mother. It's the truth. It's just like Prosecutor Edgeworth said. We had to face it, no matter how much it hurts. I admit my guilt. But could I please be granted just one chance to tell everyone what I recall?
It appears Miss Sykes is much braver than you, Mr. Wright. What do you say, Your Honor? In light of her courage, will the court give Miss Sykes this opportunity to confess? Very well. Then if you would please take the stand, Miss Sykes.
Thank you for letting me do this, Prosecutor Edgeworth. And thank you, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Blackwell, for letting the truth be known. Now we can finally move forward, and everyone's suffering can come to an end.
Athena. Prosecutor Blackwell will be cleared and the dark age of the law can come to an end. Yes, admit your guilt and bring everything to its conclusion.
I killed my mother. My memory is still a little hazy, but there's no question I remember it. I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands, and the feeling of it stabbing deep. And I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down the handle onto my fingers. Your Honor, please find me guilty.
I dare say, these are all memories that no one but the murderer would have.
I see.
Thank you for your confession. I believe this trial has gone on long enough. But before we conclude, does anyone have a counter-argument?
Objection!
I do, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright!
But, Mr. Wright, why? I killed her. I remember it now. Any counter-argument now is pointless.
Objection!
Don't tell me you've forgotten one of the basic tenets of lawyering. Always believe in the client to the bitter end. Athena, you are not a murderer.
Objection!
I said that you never change, but you have actually regressed in have you actually regressed in these 8 years? I won't stand for your childish emotionalism getting in the way of the truth. Emotionalism? Don't lecture me on matters of the heart, Edgeworth. Because I can see straight into a person's soul.
I did a little research. I looked into those special psych logs you mentioned, Mr. Nick. Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself.
There's still a chance, somewhere deep in Athena's heart. There might still be a memory that not even she knows about yet. It might be like looking for a grain of sand somewhere in the cosmos, but still, that memory might contain a new fact that could prove her innocence.
I hope for everyone's sake that you're not just bluffing, Mr. Wright. Now then,
If there is, is there or is there not a problem with Miss Sykes' confession?
My memory is still a little hazy, but there's no question I remember it. I remember the weight of the weapon in my hands, and the feeling of it stabbing in deep. And I remember the warmth of her blood as it flowed down the handle onto my fingers. How can an 11-year-old stab with a sword?
No. Depends on... No. If it manages to stab through the flesh, you're done already.
Even so.
There's definitely something wrong with her memory of the event. I can just tell.
if there's a problem with her confession, please prove it to this court now.
The katana.
Take that!
Isn't that the katana the defendant used to kill the victim, Mr. Wright?
I respectfully and vehemently disagree, Your Honor. Don't know why my tongue was twisting there for some reason.
It's okay. But I remember it! I remember holding the weapon and getting blood on my fingers!
That's exactly my point. If blood really did get on your fingers while you were holding it, there should be blood on the handle. But please focus on the handle of this sword. There's not a trace of blood on it. And therefore, this is clearly a contradiction of the facts.
You're right.
Oh my!
Objection!
The defendant must have simply confused a portion of her memories. She mentioned it was hazy to begin with, and we can't mull over every minor detail.
Objection!
But she also said there's no question I remember it, a fact we can't ignore. In that case, why don't you explain what this contradiction with her memories means? Gladly! Just give me a sec to think of something. I want to say that Athena didn't stab anyone. But she said it herself that she remembers the feeling of committing the act. Think, Phoenix.
think.
What could the contradiction with Athena's memories mean?
She used a different weapon.
Miss Sykes said blood flowed down the handle, but the katana's handle is spotless. So, doesn't it follow the defendant doesn't it follow that the defendant must have used a different weapon other than the katana? What are you up to this time? This is it. This time I found just the thing to end Athena's nightmare for good. The weapon that took Dr. Sykes' life was the katana. That much is for sure. So if I can show a possibility that Athena didn't use the katana, it could help me prove her innocence.
A different weapon, you say? What weapon would that be exactly?
Right, of course you would ask that. I see you're floundering, Mr. Wright. Did you speak without thinking again, as always? How does he do that? But I can't back down. Not here. Not now. That's right. I did. Because it's so obvious it doesn't require any thought. What did you say? Okay, so maybe that was an exaggeration. But there has to be something. Was there some other bladed weapon in the robotics lab that day? Maybe there's something in one of the crime scene photos. Wait a minute! There is something! There's a high probability that that was in the lab. I don't have that particular weapon here in evidence right now, but I do have a piece of evidence just like it. Other than the katana, this is the other blade that may have been at the crime scene.
The utility knife.
Take that!
But that's the murder weapon in the Clay Terran case.
Yes, this is the knife that took Mr. Terran's life. But there must have been a knife just like this at the scene 7 years ago as well. Toolkits containing utility knives like this are issued to Space Center employees. And a robotics lab especially would naturally have one of these around.
Objection!
But besides the katana, no other bladed weapon was found at the site. It was in the investigation report, if you didn't know.
Objection!
Of course I knew that! Once you told me just now. Then here's something else you already knew. There was a toolkit at the scene, but it didn't contain any blades. Here's a photo of its contents. The blade's missing.
All right.
I don't
Yep.
see any kind of bladed tool. Fine. But isn't there something odd about the design of these handles? Therefore, there was no other bladed weapon in the room.
Objection!
I disagree. This toolkit contained a knife. And what proof do you have of that? Don't tell me your eye for art is failing you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You are the last person in the world who should be criticizing my aesthetic sense.
No, he is simply watching out for your ocular health. Please proceed, Mr. Wright.
Notice that the handles of each of these tools have a sort of design on them.
Ah, I see that they do. But what significance does that have?
It's clear that one of the tools is missing from this kit. If we rearrange the tools into a specific pattern, you might be able to tell which part of the overall design is missing. Is that the theory your pitiful sense of aesthetics helped you come up with? Edgeworth, just let it go, man. Show the court then, if you would. What pattern or design would we see if we were to rearrange the tools?
Robots with a heart.
Take that!
And what design is this supposed to represent?
The Gaiaxa logo, Your Honor. It's on all the Space Center documents and pamphlets. And as you're aware, Gaiaxa is the space program that operates the Cosmos Space Center.
Look at how brightly the Gaiaxa logo shines in the sunlight above the entranceway. I really dig the stars and rocket motif it's get going.
Gaiaxa, huh? Isn't that the new name of the Federal Space R&D program?
Ah, I think I see it now, but
Yes, with just the tools shown in this photo, the red A part of the logo was missing. And where is the murder weapon from the... And this is where the murder weapon from the Terran case comes into play. If we were to place the utility knife in the open slot, it would complete the Gaiaxa logo.
so it would! Then that means...
Admit it, Mr. Edgeworth. My aesthetic sense is keener than yours. And while you're at it, admit that the weapon Miss Sykes used could have been this one.
Ugh. Order! Order in the court!
Miss Sykes confessed to having a memory of stabbing the victim. Admittingly, Miss Sykes most likely did stab someone using the utility knife. However, the weapon used to kill Dr. Sykes was the katana. Therefore, the act of stabbing that Miss Sykes remembers couldn't be that of Dr. Sykes. Very well, let's suppose for a minute that Miss Sykes did use the utility knife. Tell me, how does that change anything? Come again? What if the katana was only being used as a decoy to conceal the true murder weapon? What if the real murder weapon that took the victim's life was the utility knife? Don't be ridiculous! Are you changing the premise of your entire argument? I'm merely offering a hypothetical situation derived from your logic. Miss Sykes could have put blood on the katana to make it look like the murder weapon, and then concealed the knife on her personage until Blackpool carried her away. That does clear up the contradiction between Miss Sykes' memories and the evidence. If in fact the murder weapon is a utility knife, then fate has dealt you a cruel hand. For you've just proven the knife's existence to the rest of us with your own logic.
Objection!
The prosecution is attempting to lead the court.
Objection!
You're the one attempting to lead the court, Mr. Wright. By forcing us to forget the facts of this case. Need I remind you that there were only 2 people in the lab at the time of the murder? And that the defendant herself recalls stabbing someone with her own hands? No. It matters not whether the murder weapon was a katana or a utility knife. As long as we know that the victim and the defendant were the only ones there, you cannot escape the fact that it was Athena Sykes who killed her own mother. I don't believe it. Why? Why does this keep happening? Every time I find a contradiction, it vanishes, and the suspicion keeps coming back. It's almost as if... Now you're finally starting to get it. Your contradictions keep vanishing because the charge is true. And the suspicion keeps coming back to the defendant because that's where it belongs. Phoenix Wright, when will you open your eyes and accept the truth? I don't want to believe it. It can't be true. But what if...
Mr. Wright, you fought a good fight. I think you've done all you can do.
Is giving up really the only option? No. Snap out of it, Phoenix. What's the matter with you giving in to doubt? I can't look back. Forward is the only way to go. No, Your Honor. Not yet. It isn't over yet. Right. I can't lose sight of what's important. I believe in Athena, and I'll always believe in her, to the very end. A defense lawyer never gives up on his client. I have to pick myself up and stand firm. Make that brain of yours work, Phoenix. If I don't see a way, I'll just have to go back and look for one. Time to rethink this case. Thoroughly.
Here we go.
I concede the fact that Athena must have stabbed someone with the utility knife. This must have been what Ponko witnessed as Athena's hug. But Prosecutor Blackwell didn't see the knife at the scene. This means that someone must have removed it from the lab before he arrived. What could have taken the utility knife? Who could have taken the utility knife from the lab?
Someone else.
A third person was at the scene. If I trust in Athena, then I have to conclude that there was a third person at the scene. But according to Ponko's testimony, Athena and her mother were the only two there. So then, how did this third person manage to escape Ponko's detection? I know! This person must have fooled Ponko's facial recognition feature by covering
their own face!
The person hid their face. But wait a minute. Ponko has a heartbeat detection system too. Even if they covered their own face, Ponko would have still detected their presence. But she wouldn't be able to tell who they were. Wait, that's it! The culprit could have covered their face and posed as which person to avoid detection.
Meta Sykes!
If the culprit posed as the victim, that would explain why Ponko thought only she and Athena were there. All they had to do was take advantage of Ponko's basic recognition features. The culprit used this in order to pose as the victim.
Her jacket.
The culprit could have posed as the victim by wearing her jacket with the ID tag on it. But that still leaves the heartbeat detection system. How did the culprit get around that? It wouldn't have worked if Ponko could detect the real Miss Sykes' heartbeat too. So does that mean the real Dr. Sykes was already dead by that time? If that's the case, then who did Athena stab?
The real culprit!
That's it! The person Athena stabbed wasn't Dr. Sykes. It was the person who murdered her and then pretended to be her! The real culprit! Now that Mr. Wright has finally finished thinking, let us bring this to a swift end. Please give us your verdict, Your Honor, that we can move on to onto hostage negotiations.
You are absolutely right, Prosecutor Edgeworth. I hereby...
Objection!
I didn't say I was finished. I was only pausing for a second. But I realized something so shocking I had to take a break to digest it. But now I know for a fact that Miss Sykes is innocent.
The Ponko saw me! She witnessed the moment of the crime!
Yes, Ponko did witness something. She saw the hug. In other words, the moment you used the utility knife. But the person you stabbed wasn't your mother.
What are you saying, Mr. Wright?
The answer is simple. The person Miss Sykes stabbed was a third person posing as Dr. Sykes.
What?
Objection!
Do you really expect us to swallow that, Mr. Wright? According to the robot's statements, there was no third person there. Do you really think I wouldn't see through your ludicrous grab for time?
Objection!
After all we've been through, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm disappointed. Don't you know by now that this smile of mine means I have absolute confidence?
Ha! You make that pose all the time, regardless of the facts.
Bronco's strange malfunction.
Mr. Turan, you look pale. Shall I help you to the sick bay?
Mr. Terran? But that's Apollo. That's Apollo you're talking to.
Oh, this hunk of junk here is mistaking Apollo for Clay. Maybe Apollo's possessed by a Clay ghost.
That was another case of mistaken identity caused by a jacket ID tag. All because Klonko couldn't read Apollo's facial features due to that eye patch. Like Mr. Edgeworth said, a mask could nullify the robot's facial recognition, and then all that person would have to do is wear a jacket with the victim's ID tag to pose as her.
Objection!
Of all the ridiculous theories, what good would a silly disguise like that do? Have you forgotten that the robot also has a heartbeat detection system? If there was a third person at the scene, the robot would have detected them. I'm sorry, Mr. Edgeworth, but that doesn't count for much, I'm afraid. Because, by that time, Dr. Sykes' heart had already stopped beating.
What? So does that mean...
Yes, Your Honor. The person Miss Sykes stabbed... This third person who is posing as Dr. Sykes is her mother's real killer.
But that's... I'm...
Impossible!
A mask? The person I stabbed was wearing a mask?
Order! Order in the court! Miss Sykes, did you say something?
A mask. Yes. I remember a...
Athena! What is it?
I remember a man with a mask. What did he do to my mother? My head.
Miss Sykes, are you alright?
The black Cyclops. They're breaking!
It's all coming back to me. Everything that happened the day my mother was murdered.
They're gone. The black Cyclops are finally gone. You didn't really stab your mother, did you? It's all right, Athena. Just tell us what you saw that day.
I was drawing a picture. When I was done, I went to show it to my mom. I opened the door, and then...
It's all right. I'm right here. You're safe, Athena.
She was on the floor by the workbench with the katana sticking out of her. There was a handkerchief over her face, but I knew it was her by her clothes. And there was a man there!
A man?
Hold it!
Quiet, Your Honor. Go on, Athena.
He tried to attack me. In a panic, I grabbed the knife that was there and... He dodged at first, so I only got his clothes. But I tried again!
And this time you got him, didn't you?
I did. I remember it clearly now. The knife went into the back of his hand. Then he kicked me, and I passed out. When I came to, my mom wasn't moving. I had to do something. I had to fix her, I thought. So I asked Ponka to move her to the operating table.
Something's wrong with Mom. So I'm taking her apart to fix her.
So that's why she said that. Your Honor, as you can see, the defendant has just given us critical new testimony. A man was there before Miss Sykes arrived. A man who covered the victim's face and put on the victim's jacket. This man is the real culprit.
Miss Sykes, do you have any idea who this man was?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
A few moments ago, Miss Sykes mentioned a mask. Athena, can you tell us anything else about that?
Yes, the mask. It was my mom's Japanese theater mask. I think it was on the one hanging on the wall of the lab.
Ah, this mask hanging here on the wall.
It was kind of spooky, that mask. My mom used to tell me. That a gnome mask even has the power to turn an ordinary human being into a phantom.
Phantom? It would seem that a new suspect has emerged. And that means all suspicion against Miss Sykes has...
Hold it! You see, this is precisely why I can't trust the court system. Athena's Tex is the murderer. I won't accept any other verdict.
Miss Blackquill, this is not good.
A new suspect? Where's the proof this person ever existed? Who says it wasn't all just a dream in the little princess's groggy little head?
She's right. We don't have any hard evidence of the masked man's existence.
Objection!
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I'll never be able to repay you for all you've done. But I'm fine now, because I can say with certainty that I didn't kill my mother.
Athena, I'm so glad for you.
More and more memories are coming back now. So I'd like to say one thing if I could. Honko came to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. to recharge.
I went to the robotics lab about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Metis. And then Mommy Metis fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything.
I see where you're going with this. If Mommy Metis was really the killer in disguise.
Right. Then he must have come to the robotics lab before 2 p.m.
Do I have anything here in the evidence that can help me find this person who came to the lab before 2 p.m.?
The 7-year-old video. The 7-year-old video.
Take that!
This is Prosecutor Blackquill leaving the scene after the incident at around 3 p.m. What I'm wondering is, does the video show anyone else passing by there before then? I don't see anything in the investigation report. It looks like they didn't check. Seriously? Just as I thought. So if we rewind the footage and go back to around 2 p.m., we should be able to see the true culprit leaving the scene.
Very well then, let's take a look.
There! Please stop it right there!
There you are.
There you are, you piece of shit.
It's just like you said. There's a man leaving the scene of the crime.
Miss Sykes, do you remember this person?
That's him! I'm sure of it!
So in all the 7 years they had that tape, no one bothered to check the entire thing?
I know! That was the biggest fucking plot hole of this case. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
But again, given that the series is made to show the neglect of the police in real-life Japan, that checks up.
He's wearing my mother's jacket! I did, but what I really wanted to see was her jacket.
That jacket on display, that was Dr. Sykes's? Yep, there's a tear.
Can you see it? There's a splash I made with a utility knife that day. And I'm sure the knife is under the jacket somewhere. Also again, 7 years ago, did no one even bother to check the gash mark on the jacket? Come on!
People probably just assume it caught on something and tore.
So then, everything Miss Sykes said?
Exactly. It proves that Miss Sykes' memory was correct. Dr. Sykes' killer arrived at the robotics lab before 2 p.m. He killed her and hit her face with a handkerchief. Then, he disguised himself with Dr. Sykes' jacket and the mask that were there in the lab.
The culprit probably knew beforehand that Ponko charged up at 2 p.m. every day. So he waited for Paco to come to the lab and a regular recharge.
By leaving Dr. Sykes' jacket on, the culprit tricked Ponko into thinking he was Dr. Sykes, thereby making it look like she was alive up to that point in time. All to disguise the real time of death.
Objection!
It's a nice theory, Mr. Wright, but I'm afraid it's just not possible. What? Why not? The victim's jacket is clearly visible. The victim's jacket is clearly visible right there in the video. And that right there is precisely the problem. The ID tag on the jacket at the scene confirms beyond a doubt that it belonged to the victim. If the person who left the lab truly was wearing the victim's jacket, then how could it possibly have wound up back at the crime scene? What's going on? That doesn't make sense. Edgeworth's right. If the culprit was wearing the jacket, how did it get back to the lab?
The killer brought it back.
The killer used the jacket as a disguise to make his escape. But in order to conceal that fact, he had to get the jacket back to the crime scene. So the culprit simply returned to the robotics lab later and planted it there. Contradiction resolved.
Objection!
Except that it would have been impossible. The only people who came to the robotics lab after the killer were Prosecutor Blackwell and the people who reported the body. And they claimed that the jacket was there when they arrived. So, where do you propose this mysterious man of yours had the chance to return the jacket? A puzzling question indeed. When did the culprit have the chance to bring the jacket back?
When the body was found.
The only time the culprit could have returned the jacket was when the body was found. Mr. Wright, do you realize the implication of that argument? I do. Most people, when they come across a murder, focus their attention on the body. The culprit could have taken advantage of that split second to plant the jacket. In other words, the true culprit of this case, the man known as the Phantom, was one of the first people to discover the body.
I would never have thought of that! Order! Order in the court! What is the meaning of this, Prosecutor Edgeworth?
The body was discovered and reported by a group of 3 people. They were there to collect the space probe's capsule in preparation for the HAT-1 launch. One of these people had a special bag to transport the capsule in. Oh, you mean the shock-resistant bag? Correct. I suppose that if the jacket was in that bag, it could have been returned to the scene of the crime without anyone noticing. I'll see to it that you get the reports on those 3 people. You will? We should also check the facial recognition database for that robot. If the person felt the need to hide his face with the theater mask, it might mean that his facial data was once registered.
But, Prosecutor Edgeworth, does this mean...
I have to admit, I believe Miss Sykes' memories to be credible. You win, Wright. Not that this was ever an official trial, anyway.
Do my ears deceive me? Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you actually conceding?
I'm an old fart now. I don't really care about winning.
Is it true, boss? Does this mean I'm...
Can't believe it. It's over. I won. I proved that both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell are innocent. Your Honor, I see no need to further prolong this trial.
Objection!
Hold on, Mr. Wright. Have you forgotten who's in charge of this trial?
That's right. I'm the one who's supposed to say I see no need to further prolong...
Not you either, Your Honor. Now silence.
Little princess who is truly beloved by Metis and who repaid that love with death. All these years, hating Athena was the only thing that's kept me going. But what do I do now? Can anybody tell me? How am I supposed to go on?
Miss Blackwell. How unlike you, Aura. Metis was deeply passionate about her work, and she chose you as her partner. Isn't that...
Stop, Simon! You know exactly how I felt about her! Her respect as a coworker wasn't all that I wanted.
Then what did you want from her? Judge, are you this oblivious? Did you really just go there, Your Honor? Aura, there is something I've wanted to say, if you will lend me an ear. I have in my possession a lead on who Metis' murderer is. You do? Right, Dono. You asked me about the identity of the Phantom of 7 years past. That's right. The Phantom. The person Blackwell has been looking for, even from behind bars. 7 years ago, somebody hatched a plan to sabotage the Hat-1 rocket. The spy. But he was no ordinary spy. We knew not about him. His background, appearance. We came to refer to him as the Phantom. At the time, I was working with the police to hunt him down. And then one day, a miracle occurred, and I obtained a lead on him.
Ooh, how exciting! What was the lead?
A recording of the Phantom's voice. But the quality was too poor for proper voice analysis. Yet, I had hope. Aura's co-worker was a scientist who could analyze human emotions. So I asked her to evaluate the recording using analytical psychology. And that scientist was Dr. Sykes. Yes, a spy's greatest fear is to have his true identity discovered. In addition to Hat-1, Dr. Sykes' results and the recording were surely among his targets. But his search of the Space Center bore no fruit, so he must have started to panic.
He couldn't find them. But where would they have been?
Who's to say? I bet he's never let that out of his sight all these years.
How in the world did you smuggle them into prison?
Oh, I have my ways. What's more, my partner is especially talented at that sort of thing. Trust me, Edgeworth, you do not want to know how prisoners smuggle things in.
Yep. Taka!
Where have you been? I worked to lure the Phantom in by spreading rumors throughout the underworld. I was even granted permission to prosecute cases to attract the Phantom's attention. Just try to retrieve your identity, you bloody butcher, became my taunt. And what about the results Dr. Sykes drew up for you? Was there any useful information? Here, you can see for yourself. But take good care of it. That's all I have left of my mentor. I will. I'd better hold on to this real tight.
We'll definitely take that. No emotional fluctuation.
No emotional fluctuation, huh? A spy who experiences no emotions, not sadness nor anger, and naturally no fear. He is the very definition of a phantom, a monster with no heart. Don't you see? This creature is the rot that destroyed our lives and set what ails us into motion. The Phantom indeed, a fitting name for the one who brought the darkness to our world. Well then, it seems a faint image of this man has started to take shape. Based on what we have learned, I'd like all of you to conduct further investigation. This is not a formal trial, but I do want to follow protocol. If I may, I'd like to hand down my verdicts and bring these proceedings to an end.
Whatever. Do what you want.
You'll hear no objections from me. Yes, please, Your Honor. It's over. It's finally over. Very well. In that case, Prosecutor Blackquill, could you please take the stand? I'm already here. As a result of this trial, your innocence has been proven. The verdict handed down 7 years ago is hereby overturned. And now, the defendant of the current trial, Miss Athena Sykes.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, thank you. Thank you for everything.
Athena, you're more than welcome.
If everyone is ready, I will now give my verdict. Oh, for fuck's sake!
Hello, Apollo.
You!
Apollo!
What is the meaning of this?
Congratulations, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Edgeworth. You uncovered the truth from 7 years ago and you saved Prosecutor Blackwell. However, I can't allow this trial to end just yet. Why, Apollo? Why would you do this to us?
Fuck!
And that's where we'll leave it for today.
So, do you see why this game got an M rating first ever in the
Oops.
series? Ah. But yeah, do you see why this game got an M rating? It was for this case.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So yeah, every other Ace Attorney game's gotten a T rating. This one got an M. And I gotta say, it was earned.
It was definitely earned. Like, and God, that image of little Athena covered in blood with her eyes completely blank, just saying something so insane, it still haunts me.
Yeah, that's like something out of a horror game.
And in my honest opinion, that's more frightening than Dahlia Hawthorne's breakdown. And that's saying something.
I think it's because Athena's a child.
Yeah.
It's the naivety.
Just there's something's wrong with Mom, so I'm taking her apart to fix her. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I really wanted to finish this trial on this one stream, but again, it is simply too long.
So, if you really want to stick around, it would have to be within 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
so
we won't be streaming next week, and then the week after that, we'll be streaming GTA 4. So yeah, 2 weeks.
yeah, so
3 weeks,
stay tuned.
actually.
Oh. Yeah. So stay tuned for 3 weeks for the epic conclusion. You
Sorry.
do not want to miss out.
Sorry to leave you hanging like that, but it's just the way it is sometimes.
Speculate all you want. Do not spoil yourself.
Yeah, seriously. Okay,
Do not, yeah.
anything else to say before we go?
Nope, I'm good.
Alright, thanks for tuning in, folks, and tune in 2 weeks for more of GTA 4. See you then.
Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.